he think is like difficult to get
I ain't
right
gonna lie,
with.
the only person that people might be able to pick up on if they wanted to join would be Yorichi from Demon Slayer.
Bruh.
That's the only available
The only
spot right
argument
now.
they can use
That's
is
the
like
only way your
natural
niggas
law
can.
transcendence.
I don't know if Lawson applies better than Senju. I don't know.
Oh, Wall? I'm pretty sure he's okay. He has like basic knowledge like of majority of stuff. It's just he needs to be more in depth.
So look, don't get jumped is very simple.
Damn. Who's Tulip talking to?
I have no idea.
They can't win in a one-on-one. What the hell is that clicking? That's atrocious.
Oh, what the hell are you
Oh,
doing?
please stop. You have one of the worst mic qualities known to mankind. With
I
that,
don't know what he was
I
doing.
got you.
That's a balloon, bro.
It's like something like a torture device.
This shit sound crazy, guys. He's laying for this.
When will I get to hear the page?
I'm waiting on bro. He's taking his sweet time to get here.
Bro, he thinks he's like the GOAT. Can't rush the GOAT.
Who's Zizo?
Yeah, Zizo will put belt past everybody here currently.
Oh, that's how you feeling?
Yeah, bro. I got money on Zizo, trust.
Oh, damn. You hear that, Noodles?
My 2 pennies that I currently have in my Rengoku cup is how much I'm willing to bet on that guy.
Yo, that's big bucks right there, Noodles. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if Ariana's gonna debate you.
Okay.
He hasn't responded. Not yet, at least. Just text.
Maybe he's like shaking, man.
Are you serious or are you trolling? Like,
I'm being serious.
It's a damn shame.
It is.
So I had my for off topic real quick. I had cut my dreads, bro. Then like after a while, I'm like, damn, I really didn't want them cut. So I went to a salon. I got them redone, right? I gotta put back.
Shit, that hobo songs game.
I had got to put back in, and like I had gotten into a fight like a week or 2 after that, right? And nigga, he pulled out mad at my dreads in the back, bro.
what?
So right, I didn't want to like, yeah, he was pulling on my hair and shit. So I didn't want to go to the salon, pay $200 again just to get like just the back done. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get the needle and do it myself, bro. When I tell you, bro, my shit keep falling out in the back, bro.
Everyone in the YouTube chat, can you hear me okay? Can you hear the stream okay?
No shit. Noodles is streaming. Did that, man.
Has anyone ever genuinely cooked noodles and wasn't recorded? Damn. Niggas is brazen.
Is anyone ever genuinely cooked noodles?
I've lost debates many times.
Yeah. Niggas is brazen. But I don't know why people have such a problem with it being on TikTok Live. Like, y'all gotta understand, bro. I'm trying to get me something out of this shit too, bro. It's not as simple as just, oh, let me just host a tournament and let all y'all niggas, like, you know what I'm saying, compete for money on Discord. Like, what the fuck, Tom?
I know. That's what I was thinking. I was like, bro, he's definitely gonna stream this shit. I don't know what everybody was thinking. He's trying to get followers out of this.
Like, what the hell? Like, all y'all niggas, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm like for sure. I'm for sure just gonna bless y'all with, like, you know what I'm saying? Nice free bread for no reason, of course. Yeah, cool. I'm such a nice person, honestly.
I would hope so, man.
Yo, Foundation, that's you, Zizo? Like, for sure, I'm for sure just gonna bless y'all with, like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, Zizo, I'm up. Okay, damn, that's the wrong person. My fault. Gotta chop this guy.
Oh, it's free. Oh my.
Who was that?
Oh, that was the goat free. Nah.
Hello?
Yo, Zizo.
Wait, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you.
All right, bro. My bad, guys. Like, they're at exit, but like, tell us a couple of the Yadamir because like they're both like conceptual weapons.
They're not conceptual weapons for one. They're just stated to be spirit weapons, so that's wrong.
No. For one, we know that like Black Zetsu says verbatim that like they're weapons with no physical form, right? Like they don't like physically exist. Right?
Yeah, that's spiritual.
Yeah.
He also says they're spirit weapons, so he's just talking about them in a spiritual sense.
I get that. Like those two weapons in specific, though, can also be conceptual weapons. And the reason for that is due to the Yadamir statement of it being like a property-altering weapon. You understand what a property?
You've shifted your position. You said it could be a conceptual. You were saying before that it was conceptual.
No, I'm not saying it could be. I'm saying that your idea of it being spiritual and conceptual. That's what I'm saying. Like it's not a debunk. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
What actually demonstrates that it's conceptual and it's not just a spiritual weapon?
I just told you why. The Yadamir is stated in the data books to be a property-altering weapon. A property is a concept.
So, like, if someone can, like, you know, cast a normal ninjutsu and change its properties, that suddenly means it's conceptual.
That's not the way it's described. Like when it's described as like it alters its like properties and attributes to match the attributes of the other entity. You understand?
Altering its properties doesn't mean it's conceptual.
A property is conceptual.
A property doesn't have to be conceptual. It can be physical.
Can you give me an example?
Like a physical property.
Can you give me an example of like an attribute?
Can you give me an example that demonstrates that properties are inherently conceptual?
I don't think you understand what I mean by property here. Like I'm not saying
define it then.
Yeah, I got you. Property isn't, for example, like it has a physical property of fire, right? I'm talking about as an entity or like as an animal or whatever you are, you're described with certain attributes and certain qualities. So, for example, I don't know, like let's take for example, like
you've already admitted that it can just be like fire and like things like that. Like it can obviously just be like nature. Like its properties can obviously just be changed.
No,
but
that's
the
one.
problem.
Real quick. This is one sec.
Yeah.
That's one. If you read the rules on Discord, do not cut people off. He was in the middle of talking Noodles. Let him finish.
All right. Yeah, like thank you. No, I'm talking to you, Andre. Yeah. So the reason why I'm saying that it's not just like standard conventional fire properties. It's just in conjunction with the statement of it being physical. So that's for one. So clearly the properties has to be some non-physical property that we're talking about. And the example I was giving with fire wasn't that like I'm just talking about physical fire. What I'm talking about is that, for example, if your ability uses or revolves around the concept of fire, the Yadamir will alter itself to just be a fire countering ability. That's why Black Zetsu, who's seen literally all the fighters in the verse, just says this ability is invincible. I'm gonna mute myself and I'm gonna let him give a response, and I'm gonna be fair because like I'm actually like a pretty good, good faith debate.
Noodles, you're muted. You gotta unmute yourself, bro.
Hello. Yo, where did the big boy go?
Nah, he's there. He's probably don't know he's muted right now. Yo, Noodles, you're muted right now, bro.
Oh, okay. That was when I was talking. Can you repeat like exactly how you got the conclusion that that properties were inherently conceptual again? Just specifically that part?
That's not what I was saying. I literally told you verbatim that
Hold on. If you're not saying it's inherent that they're conceptual, you agree that properties don't have to be conceptual, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like I gave examples.
Okay. They can just be characteristics of something. So, for instance, like fire style in this case could easily be a characteristic.
Yeah, sure. But the problem.
But yeah, like I think that like just altering its properties to negate like basic ninjutsu is not that effective because this is Sage's 6 pads ninjutsu for one. Sage of Six Paths ninjutsu goes beyond regular ninjutsu. Regular ninjutsu doesn't even work on like Ten Tails Obito, who is basically a Ten Tails Shinchuriki and harnessing Six Paths power. So if basic ninjutsu doesn't even work on him, just negating basic ninjutsu isn't really relevant because basic ninjutsu doesn't even work on these characters. You would need like Sage of Six Paths or Sage mode to be able to deal with it. And Hagurama is obviously the Sage of Six Paths. So
all right. Wait, this is being recorded by the way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Okay, so for one, I didn't want to cut you off, but like you like misinterpreted what I said because you kind of took the part where I said, oh, like properties are not inherently physical and just ran with it. Because I was saying it's specific. The Yadamir's abilities and properties are conceptual, and like what it does is on a conceptual level. And I'm saying that my reason for it isn't that properties are inherent, but rather the supporting statements in the data book and like the statements by Black Zetsu, where they say the weapon doesn't have a physical form. It doesn't physically exist. It's not like a weapon with space. Like
you know, Black Zetsu's like wrong several times in that encounter.
About what exactly?
He says that like the Yadamir can't be deflected. Not the Yadamir. Kirin. He said Kirin can't be like stopped. It can't be dodged. It can't be blocked or deflected. And it does just get blocked in that same fight.
Yeah, what is he talking?
He's speaking relative to the fight. I don't think he has to be speaking for all time. I think he can just be speaking relative to the encounter itself. So he thinks that it's undodgeable in comparison to maybe Itachi, and then Itachi like surprises him. So he's even wrong about like what Itachi's capable of, let alone like trying to apply that to like some universal sense like Kaguya or Hagurama. That's obviously wank.
Wait, Sunless, can you ping I'm saying that Sasuke right now is like weakened and obviously down. So like it being referring to Sasuke and him talking about Sasuke right now makes no sense.
That doesn't follow. That doesn't follow.
It does follow. It absolutely does.
No, because Sasuke being weaker just gives more credence to the fact that Itachi's invincible in front of him.
The point I'm trying to make is that if the character's obviously weakened, the oomph of the statement being like him being invincible wouldn't make any sense. Like if I'm beating on a third grader, people wouldn't.
You would be invincible to the third grader, right?
That's not the point though. People wouldn't be.
That's exactly what's happening though. He's beating up like a weakened Sasuke that has no capability.
You're still not understanding. Like I'm trying to tell you, is that someone like beating on a third grader isn't impressive enough to be called invincible. Invincible has like merit to it, has a narrative to it, like has an intelligent to it.
You wouldn't say that it's fine to say that I'm invincible in comparison to the third grader because the third grader can't hurt me. You would say that's like invalid.
The issue is you're presupposing invincible is a relative term. Do you understand that?
I'm not presupposing it's relative. I didn't say anything like that.
By definition, if you're saying it's in comparison to the third grader, that means it's relative.
No, I'm saying like the context of the statement is not relative. The
What happened to your phone?
Very, very cheap, 1 pound fish, 6
Lily. We're waiting on Noodles to fix his live happy bar, so I'm just playing Brawl with a friend in the meantime.
I ain't lie for a minute, bro. I thought like Willie was Noodles for a minute.
No, Willie's for sure. That's the goat. Oh, this guy's loving
Willie, I thought you was in a debate, Willie. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I thought you was in a tournament, bro.
Level 100 Orion, bro.
I ain't lie, I thought you was Noodles.
You guys hear everything on YouTube? You guys see everything?
On YouTube? Oh, I'm not on YouTube.
All right, I'm ready. What was the last point that we were going over?
So we were talking about the relative term, because in this context, you have to be talking about invincibility as a relative term, right?
I'm not using invincible relatively, no. Invincible means what invincible means.
You have to, because if you're saying it's within context to Sasuke, that's what relatively means by definition.
No, I just think that, like, maybe the context the statement is used in is relative, but not the actual term itself. I'm not using invincible.
So you're saying that it's
like, I can say, you know, I'm invincible in comparison to certain things. Like, you don't think it's wrong to say I'm invincible compared to a 3-year-old, but it would be wrong to say I'm invincible compared to, let's say, a nuke, right? Something like that.
I mean, I get that, but I'm not gonna say.
Well, that's all I'm doing then. I'm invincible in comparison to certain things. Like, you
Noodles, you're echoing. Yo, Noodles.
What'd you say, Zizo?
Yeah, I could hear like your YouTube in the background when I'm talking.
Yeah, I paused that.
All right. Okay, so I was saying that what's it called? So like even if like we grant you what you're saying, I'm saying that it's really weird and nonsensical for someone to describe someone so much weaker than them and describe them as invincibility. Invincibility is a term like used to like make a scale of power. It was something really impressive. Like nobody would be like, oh, like
it can be used in a lot of different ways. Like
invincible. Like nobody does that. That's the
problem. It just means you can't be harmed. It could mean that you can't be defeated. It could be hyperbolic. There's a lot of ways that invincible can be used.
Within context, obviously, like Zetsu's talking about like Itachi having 2 unstoppable weapons, like the unstoppable defense and the unstoppable offense, correct?
Sure, he's got like unstoppable weapons in context to right then, maybe. I don't think it necessarily applies like for all time or anything.
I mean, wait,
like,
what do you mean for then? Like, I don't get that.
Like, it's stated that Hagoromo can destroy everything, right? So those two statements can't coexist. Like, if we take it on that front.
That's
so
synthetically false. Like, Hagoromo being able to destroy anything just isn't the case, like because we know.
Well, I think him being able to like create things from nothing and reduce things to nothing is pretty important. Regardless,
important, but for one, it's relative to
hold on.
Sorry,
Let me finish. I think it's pretty important because it does show that he has like a higher level destruction than anything like Itachi's ever shown. Itachi simply has, like, as you said, like altered properties and has some like non-physical weapons, but literally like chakra itself is not necessarily physical. It has spiritual energy inside of it. And like Naruto's like arms can grab his own soul, chakra arms can grab his own soul and pull them back into his body. So just being non-physical is kind of just very commonplace in Naruto. It only matters like once you start getting into Sage's six-path chakra, because that's when like regular chakra and like regular intangible things just stop working altogether.
Okay, so a few things. So for one, I get what you're trying to say, and I understand where you're coming from about the whole spiritual weapon, like the spiritual stuff. But I radically different than other spiritual weapons, and you can't isolate properties to physical again. Because again, like if it was a physical property, then like it would just take away from the statement of it being physical.
I think all it's doing is kind of similar to what certain things do else in Naruto, but I don't think there's like different levels of like spiritual weapons or whatever. I don't think that makes any sense. I think he just is able to power null certain attacks.
Like for example, like the point I'm trying to make is that, I mean, it does mean like there could be different levels of like conceptual abilities. Like you just said, like for example, there's stuff like the soul, there's stuff like spirits and stuff that move around, but they're not like concept. Like, they're kind of like ghosts in the verse. That's kind of the way I interpret them. But Itachi's weapon is the only ability that says like, oh, it nullifies like the attributes of its opponent, like in the battle.
It like matches the attributes and negates it. Like, it alters its properties to match the properties of regular ninjutsu, not even like sage jutsu.
You're presupposing it's regular ninjutsu though. Like
because that's all it's stated to do, and all it's stated to block is just regular ninjutsu.
It doesn't say where does it say regular ninjutsu?
Because in order to block Sage's six-path jutsu, I think it would have to have a clarification statement that it actually applies to that. Otherwise, it can just say it blocks
that's just
jutsu.
an argument from ignorance, in my opinion.
I don't think so. I think it's just
for one, we know other Sage jutsu can interact with six-path jutsu. The best example is like the frog. He's able to like we see like Jubito's abilities doesn't work like exactly on the frog because it's Sage jutsu.
Sage jutsu and Sage's six-path jutsu are the same thing.
I mean, they're similar, but they're not like six paths chakra. That's
they're both nature energy, so they are literally the same thing.
Sorry?
They're both nature energy, so they literally are the same thing. That's why they can interact.
Okay, and what is Orochimaru using against Itachi?
What?
In his snake form. What is he using?
What?
Nature energy in the serpent form.
How do you know he didn't just steal his soul?
What?
Like, how do you know he didn't just steal his soul?
He didn't steal. No, I heard what you said. Like, steal whose soul? Like, steal
Orochimaru's soul. Like, how do you know it's not just interacting with his soul? What proves it's interacting with like the Sage jutsu?
Okay, because he's defending against the serpent form, no?
Defending against the serpent form? I mean, he physically blocked the serpent. That doesn't prove he's actually interacting with it on like a jutsu level.
I mean,
like his weapons aren't even jutsu.
That's not
they're just weapons themselves.
Wait, the what? Like you're talking about the Kotsuka blade?
Yeah, they're not even jutsu. They're just spirit weapons.
Yeah, again, but it's not a weapon like physically interacts with you. You understand that, right?
It does physically interact with people. That's why it blocked his head.
I think it just negated like the attributes of this like the serpent.
Well, you literally just cut through its like physicality. Like you actually just like.
I think it negated its attributes of its like form, and that's what it cut through, and that's what responded to reality.
Yeah, like to put it to you this way, like just the bodies themselves don't inherently have to have like Sage chakra infused into them. It's usually their Sage chakra gets infused into their Sage jutsu, which is why they're called like Sage jutsus. So I don't think like Itachi actually ever interacted with any Sage jutsu.
Okay,
he literally just stabbed him physically and then stole his soul.
But for one, he also pulls the seal out, yes, from Sasuke.
What about Sasuke?
Okay, so we know like after the fight, like Sasuke doesn't have the mark from Orochimaru anymore, right? Because Itachi saved him from it. Yes?
That's like the very ending of the fight, yeah.
Exactly, but that's due to like the Totsuka blade. And the point I'm trying to make to you is that that's another example of Sage chakra.
The reason the curse mark disappeared was because Orochimaru escaped from his body from him. Like the entire point of the like battle was for Orochimaru to or for Itachi to tire Sasuke out enough chakra-wise to where he could no longer hold Orochimaru inside of himself, and then Orochimaru used the curse mark and escaped through his body, and then the curse mark disappeared from him. So it wasn't like Itachi did something. It was just that Sasuke ran out of chakra, and Orochimaru intentionally resurrected himself and erased the curse mark himself.
You can correct me if I'm wrong here. You're probably more knowledgeable than me on this, but all this, like, the seal is just Sage chakra. That's basically what it is, right?
What about Sage chakra?
All the seal on Sasuke's like neck or whatever is just Sage chakra. Yes.
I don't know about that actually.
Okay, because the point I'm trying to make
on, it's like based on Hugo's chakra, but it's not actually like actually
storing, because
chakra.
basically what he's doing is like he's storing his chakra inside Sasuke. Like that's basically what happens.
Yeah, so he is doing that.
Okay. And what I'm trying to say is that once that chakra is released, it's Sage chakra that's fighting against Itachi. And
he proved that he's actually like infusing Sage chakra, or just assuming?
I mean, what would he be reinforcing himself with?
Just his physical body.
His physical body.
Regular chakra too.
Don't you think that the physical body is like we see like he gets reinforced by Sage chakra too? That's
usually you have to like infuse Sage chakra into your body, but we can't prove that Orochimaru was even doing that.
You just agreed with me that the mark that was sealed in Sasuke was Sage Jutsu. Or Sage
I didn't agree that it was Sage chakra. What I said is that it's based on Sage chakra, but it's not actually Sage chakra.
Wait, what's the difference? It's based on Sage chakra that doesn't absorb it?
Like, you can base a jutsu off of another thing. Like, I'd say that Minato basing his Rasengan off the Biji Bomb is a good assessment of this.
So
he based it on the Biji Bomb, but it's not the same thing.
Oh, but in this case, it has to be, because it's based off the summonings of, like, the serpents. He's summoning snakes, basically. That's literally what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. You can say that he's summoning a snake, but what actually proves that he's, like, interacting with, like pure Sage Jutsu, though.
I'm saying that that's where, like, the snakes, like, and the frogs and all of them get their physicals from. They get it from, like, their nature energy. That's why the frogs are so strong. This is why
if they infuse nature energy into them, sure, but there's nothing actually proving he's doing that in that moment.
Hold on, Noodles. Tell me what happens when humans infuse nature energy into them. They manifest into the animal or the entity that they pure nature chakra. Like that's basically what they are. And
they do have nature chakra, but it's just not relevant, because even though they have nature chakra, they have to actually be physically infusing it. And I don't care if they take on some random properties of the thing that they're using, like really infusing Sage chakra. Yes, I agree in the moments where they're taking on properties. But what actually proves that the Hydra form in particular was infusing Sage chakra?
Because I'm trying to say that it's like the frogs and all of them aren't like just fusing like chakra into them. They basically are that chakra. And my justification for that, again, is that when humans absorb nature chakra of their respective like animal clan or whatever, they take on the form of like the animal. For example, Naruto like becomes like frog.
When they're actually infusing it, though. And I just don't think you can prove that he's infusing it here.
Yeah, but that's the point I'm trying to make to you. The point that I'm trying to make to you is that if they can't control their nature energy, they will literally turn into frogs. That's why they have to get their.
I'm not saying they can't control. I'm asking you to prove that they were.
You just, bro. Like, listen. The rules is you can't cut me off. You even let me finish my point. I'm not talking about the humans. Forget about the humans. I'm saying that the reason why I'm bringing it up is I'm saying that they turn into frogs. They literally turn into frogs if they can't control it. And
they don't. So they turn into stone statues.
Or frog, or like regardless.
No, they turn into stone statues.
The old sage says like you have to like he beats him out of it. Regardless.
Yeah, or you'll get like Medusified. You know what I'm talking about? That's what happens. That's what happened in the One Path of Pain when Naruto infused Sage chakra into him.
Regardless of what it is, right? You take on either properties of like a frog or like you become serpent. Like what happened to Kabuto, for example. The reason why I'm bringing these up is I'm saying that the summons and those entities don't have to infuse chakra from nature energy because they are nature energy.
They do, though, because that's what Pa and Ma do when they're on top of Jiraiya's shoulders. That's how they taught Naruto in the first place. They were showing him how to infuse Sage chakra.
Wait, they can absorb it, like to use jutsus and stuff, but like I'm saying that they're like
I think you're conflating raw nature energy and Sage chakra, like Sage jutsu and things. There's raw nature energy that just naturally exists, sure. that's fine. But they have to actually use that energy and convert it into Sage Chakra. And that's what Ma and Pa were doing on top of Jiraiya's shoulders.
Right, but the point I'm trying to make is that when they fight other characters, the chakra that they use is purely like nature chakra, basically.
No, there's raw nature energy, which is like the fundamental aspect of Sage Chakra. And then there's when you're actually infusing like Sage energy into regular chakra and creating Sage Jutsu.
I'm not talking about jutsu right now. I'm saying that even with Tai Jutsu, like we see like Naruto like is able to punch, like that's not a jutsu.
Yeah, it is. He's infusing Sage Chakra into his arm when he's doing that.
But that's not a jutsu though. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's still Tai Jutsu, just reinforced. That's
jutsu just means a technique, brother. If it's Tai Jutsu,
sure.
it's a jutsu.
Okay. That's what you consider as a jutsu. Okay, that's also fine. Like I don't mind that.
Okay. Here's the biggest problem I have with your argument.
Yeah.
Like, I understand where you're going with it. You're trying to say that Black Zetsu like inherently has to scale, this man above Hagoromo, but it just doesn't have to inherently be that way. Like it just doesn't. You can interpret it differently.
That's not my justification for it. My justification is that you're saying, oh, like there's this pedestal and like 6 path chakras are completely different. They're
I know he's not visually seeing it, but like the reason he's able to sense it is because of the Sage of Six Paths chakra. The reason Naruto is able to, or the reason Sasuke is able to do it is because of the Sage of Six Paths chakra. And those are the only people in the verse that can even interact with them.
For one, like that's not as a result of it being a 6 paths ability. It's because it comes it comes from a separate dimension. Like, obviously, like people can interact with it because if like it hits them, it hits them and knocks them down. Like they can physically interact with it, but obviously, like, they can't.
I'd say the limbos can physically interact with them because they have cross-dimensional attacks, but I don't think anyone else can interact with them. That's why, like Kurama, who's a pure nature energy beast, can't even see the limbo. He just gets bodied by them without even knowing what's happening.
Sure. Again, I don't mind that, but I'm saying that limbo is radically different from like standard 6 paths jutsu because all the characters who are nature energy characters can interact with people like Jubito, Hagoromo, Jubidara, and all of them.
Literally, Madara got all of his powers from Hagoromo. Like that's actually where his powers come from. So it is just something that Hagoromo gave him.
Wait, I get that he gave him the chakra, but we know the applications of the Rinnegan's are unique to the user. Do you disagree with that?
Not really, because it stated that he can use all of the powers of the Uchiha and Senju.
So why doesn't Sasuke have like limbo?
Sasuke isn't Hagoromo. Hagoromo is like the origin of all these abilities. That's the problem.
Isn't it stated that Sasuke had Hagoromo's ocular genjutsu?
He had like one aspect of Hagoromo's jutsu. Naruto had the other aspect.
Okay, but we know that he had Hagoromo's ocular jutsu. Limbo's an ocular jutsu.
Yeah, but the problem is, it's just stated that he's literally the progenitor of all jutsu in general, and he's also
I get that he's a progenitor.
He's just not on their level. Like he's the god of the verse. Like, he's the one that's able to do everything.
Progenitor or founder doesn't mean you possess all jutsu for one. Because
it is directly stated he possesses all of the abilities of the Uchiha and Senju, which includes Sasuke Uchiha.
I mean, I'll like respond to that in a second, but about him being the progenitor, I think that's just due to him being like the founder of Ninshu. Obviously, you know, like there's.
I don't disagree. Yeah,
there's characters like Indra and like Ashura, like who make techniques that Hagoromo doesn't possess.
We gave them all their powers too.
He gave them the chakra, yes, but that doesn't mean that they have like the same abilities.
It wasn't just chakra; he gave them their physical abilities too, and the same thing is true of Madara as well.
And then, by the way, I still think Itachi can interact with Limbo. Like we can get into that in a second, but.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can damage him.
I get that, but about like him having like all the abilities of, like Uchiha and like the Senju, that could just be referring to the chakra. Like I don't see a problem with that because.
Okay, you want me to justify it then through like scans that he actually gave them powers?
We can look at the scans together because we would have to look at stuff like why is every single Uchiha has like eyes.
Yeah, I'm gonna send a couple scans.
Sure, I got.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
right. You want me to send it to you, don't you, Sunless?
Oh yeah. Or you can also send it in the Cord. I can take a look at it.
I'll send it in specific position.
I hope it's an actual rhythm scan, not like some like interpretation or something. Noodles, it better be like an actual
Yeah, it's a scan.
like verbatim scan.
Hold on.
Is this
This is one of them. This one says, you awakened 6 paths Senjutsu. You awakened 1 Rinnegan. This is the final battle. My powers versus yours. So when they use the term powers, they're referring to the Rinnegan and Sage's 6 paths mode in this situation. Agreed?
I mean, sure.
Okay.
Or it's everything in general, but like sure.
So that's physical abilities. That's relevant. I'll get into why that's relevant because Hagoromo gave them both the Rinnegan and Sage's 6 paths. This one just says that when he was talking about Indra and Ashura, he said the older son had been born with the sage's eyes, granting him chakra powers and mental energy. So the sage's eyes are obviously referring to his like Mangekyo Sharingan that Indra has.
I agree with that. Like,
so it like when they say powers and like the true powers of the sage's 6 paths and things that he's giving them as well. That's why they have the sun and moon seal.
Wait, I get that. I understand that again. I'm saying that like the Rinnegan is an ability. Like I'll tell you that. Like we obviously agree that the Rinnegan is an ability. The problem is that I agree with you. Obviously, like, it comes from Hagoromo. But what I'm putting to question is that the applications of said abilities would be the same with Jubidara versus like Hagoromo. For example, like that's what I'm telling you that characters with like the same eyes or different eyes like just have uniquely distinct abilities because like their eyes are different. Like each eye.
I disagree with that as well. There's like a direct scan that Madara's powers are the true Sage of 6 paths powers.
I mean, we can look at that scan together, but I'm talking about just in general. Like the eyes are different. We know that, for example, Kamui, like for example, is like
they're just derivatives.
Wait, relax for a
go
second.
Ahead,
relax for a second.
Sorry, go ahead.
Noodles, for example, Obito's eyes are unique, like Obito, for example. Like they're like when Kakashi gets his eyes, he can start using Kamui. When Madara puts those eyes into his eyes, he also starts using Kamui, right?
He starts using what? You say power?
Kamui.
Oh, Kamui.
Yeah, each eye's ability is like unique, like to that specific eye, like that set of eyes.
It's unique to the derivative of Hagoromo. It all he's the origin of the reincarnation that led down to the Uchiha.
I get that. He's the origin of it. He's the source of it, but that doesn't mean he possesses all of it. Being the source. It's
said that he possesses the powers of the Uchiha. And
I get that. Directly. Yeah, he possesses the power of the Uchiha. Yeah, because he has the Rinnegan, which is a power of the Uchiha, like the Sharingan, because that's a power of the Uchiha, and he has the powers of the Senju too, because he has their like immense chakra, like their chakra type.
Yeah, but it's like even referring to their sensing. It's referring to their sun and moon seal, things like that.
That doesn't make it absolutely like all encompassing of every single like idea of like technique and existence.
I have more scans that show this like exact principles like consistent. So it is just like the absolute most likely position that these like Hagoromo specifically says that he unlocked the Rinnegan, which was a derivative of his power. That means that like all the Rinnegan abilities that he got derived from him.
I agree again, but the issue being the source of something means that you possess every very example of what I'm talking about. Venom, for example, is the source of all the symbiotes in like Marvel, like or something like that. Like not like literally, like obviously there's like higher gods and stuff. I'm saying that he's like the parent of all of them, but that doesn't mean that Venom like possesses the abilities of like all.
But what if Venom was stated, or I forget who you just said, whoever it was that was the original source of the symbiotes? What if it said that he has their powers, which in powers in context refers to their actual abilities?
I get that, but having their powers doesn't mean that he has every single like intricate aspect of their powers, because again,
I think it
Hold
just
on,
means he has their powers.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
I think like the
Hold on,
most obvious
let me finish.
interpretation.
Please let me finish. Please let me finish.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, for example, that's what I'm telling you. The Rinnegan is a power of the Uchiha. So him having the Rinnegan would satisfy the condition of him having the powers of the Uchiha, and him having the sensory abilities of the Senju would satisfy the condition of him having the powers of the Senju.
I disagree with how you're using powers. Like just having a Rinnegan. Yeah, I agree with you that comes with powers, but powers refers to more specific things in this case. It refers to the chakra, it refers to the sensing, it refers to all of the abilities that Sasuke got, like the the teleportation, the sun and moon seal. Like powers in context to how it's used in verse consistently refers to just their actual jutsu capabilities that they're getting from him. So if it's saying he has their powers, that's not just saying he has a power. That means that all of their powers are deriving from him. All of their specific abilities are deriving from him. Not just the chakra, not just the Rinnegan, specifically their abilities that are granted by the Rinnegan.
You're making that jump again. Like you're saying that, oh, like because he has their powers, he would have every aspect of their powers. Even if I grant you that, yeah, it's referring to the chakra and all that, there's different applications of the chakra that characters just don't have, for example. And like I agree with you that, yeah, like characters like what's it called, Hagoromo, like source, like all like the chakra, I agree with that, but that doesn't mean that every single aspect of their abilities. I want to make that super clear for you.
I literally think every single individual ability that any of the Uchiha have used at any given point have literally been said to be Sage 6 Pad's powers. Like I don't think you can name me one that hasn't.
No, I agree. Again, the issue is that I'm making a distinction here between the powers and the applications of said powers. So, like, for example, I can have, like, the power of fire, but apply it differently. That was not the best analogy. But
yeah, I get what you mean, but,
yeah,
like, Hagoromo's grasp on the fundamental aspects of all of creation should allow him to apply it even better than pretty much anyone.
Okay, I mean, that's the argument you're going to go for. What scan are you using for that?
I got a couple that say that, like the Sage of 6 Pad's fourth data book mode scan. It's the one where it's like talking about how when Naruto gets Sage of 6 Pad's mode, it said a divine state gifted from the ancestor of Shinobi, touching the principles of all creation. It's just one other thing. Let me read it.
The one that says like, oh, it commands all things in nature.
Yeah, commanding all things in nature. Refers to like the creation of all things and his ability to like fundamentally understand the origin and the principles of the world. So I just don't think that there's any like jutsu application that he wouldn't likely be able to perform.
I got you. Yeah, so I just disagree with that statement. I think that statement is like synthetically false. And what I mean by that is like when we actually look at the Naruto world, we just see those statements don't apply. Because we obviously know like there's characters that existed way before Hagoromo that Hagoromo didn't create, doesn't have command over. There's characters like Kaguya.
It's using the kanji Shinra Bansho, which just can refer to like the universe and such. So I think it's just referring to his universe that he knows about. It's not necessarily referring to the stuff that comes later in Boruto, like the other dimensions and such.
Characters like Kaguya exist within that verse. Like that's what I'm trying to make.
Well, yeah, Kaguya exists in that verse, and I think that should include Kaguya. He should be able to use Kaguya's powers.
I mean, he
has the Rinatomo
Kaguya stronger than all, no? So what's your opinion on Kaguya? Like Hagoromo saying that Kaguya is stronger than all, which would include himself.
He thinks that she just has like more raw chakra than he does, I think.
But that wouldn't be enough to consider him stronger. If he has the ability to command her, there's no reason for all of this hype.
It's not referring to like commanding people. It's more so referring to commanding the fundamental aspects of creation.
Yeah, but no. It says all things, correct?
Yeah, like it's like talking about the fundamental aspect that makes up all things, though. So like Kaguya is made of matter and has spiritual energy and things like that. He can fundamentally control those aspects. That doesn't mean that she's not stronger than him, though.
Sure. So what if I posit then, if that's the interpretation you're going for, why can't that just be referring to just the chakra natures? Like just because it specifies nature, why can't it be referring to the 7 chakra natures?
The what?
The 7 chakra natures.
The 7 chakra natures? Yeah. I mean, those things basically do make up all of creation in Naruto.
I mean, sure.
At least the universe.
Yeah, but things like Itachi's like Totsuka Blade and Yaramir don't apply to like any criteria like those chakra natures.
They're spirit weapons, so I think that would include like the spiritual aspects that Hagoromo had to have created when he like made the Biju, for instance.
Those things are not of nature, though. That's the point I'm trying to make too. And I'm saying that Itachi's Totsuka Blade and Yaramir are radically distinct from anything
Now-
that's in the universe.
Nature by definition is anything non-man-made, and spirits aren't man-made. So yes, it would absolutely
No.
include spiritual stuff.
No, because there's supernatural elements. Like even relative to Naruto, like obviously Naruto like in general is supernatural, but there are things within Naruto that are not like like that. Basically, I honestly contradict like just the nature of what Naruto is. And the point I'm trying to make is that things like Itachi's Susanoo, like his abilities, wouldn't be within nature because they're supernatural.
I don't think that they're supernatural. Can you like justify? Like,
Yeah,
and for one, I think like even using the term supernatural here is kind of fallacious because supernatural just refers like it actually is context dependent. Like when we as humans refer to supernatural things, we are referring to ghosts and things like that, right? Because we don't think that's even physically possible or like know that that's physically possible. So for us, that seems like it is something supernatural. But for someone like Hagromo, who is literally a floating time wizard through space, like a literal floating spirit, I don't think spirits are considered supernatural to him.
I agree with you. I agree. That's what I'm saying. Within Naruto, it's like what's normal within Naruto, like what's like actually within the nature of Naruto. Like let's say for example, like I want to explain like what the laws of nature like kind of are. They're like basically like the laws, like the abilities like that, like fundamental like ground like the universe. Like it's their rule set. So for example, like chakra is part of their nature. Like obviously chakra would be supernatural to us, but chakra would be like natural like to them, correct?
Chakra would be natural to who?
Yeah, exactly. But the point I'm trying to make is that even within the context of that verse, the Yaramir and the Tosuka Blade are distinct from it, given how Zetsu describes them, given how the data book describes them, given like their
I don't think that they're distinct. I think that they like them being distinct is one thing. Them being supernatural is another thing. I don't think anything clarifies that they're supernatural or not natural.
It isn't a statement like per se that says, "Oh, like it's a supernatural weapon."
There might even be some like because we don't even really know the origin of the Yaramir and Tosuka Blade. I don't think you really can make a claim on it without just arguing from ignorance.
But the issue, no, it's not arguing from ignorance because I'm saying like supernatural, like just in general. I'm saying that like you can like disagree on like what falls within the category. Like,
your mic sounds like you're in the toilet.
Oh, sorry, I was like far away from it. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was saying was that I agree with you. Like there isn't like a verbatim statement that says like, oh, Yaramir is like supernatural.
Yeah.
What I do think is that based on the definition of what supernatural is, because I think supernatural is like the same, like basically just in general. But what we do disagree on is what falls within the category of supernatural. And
I don't even think supernatural like necessarily like stops it from being natural. I think it just means like it's something that's like it's supernatural in the sense that like people don't know that it exists. Like they're not aware that this is even possible or physically possible.
No, because I'll give you an example. God is like an entity that would be considered supernatural, and like obviously there's people who disagree on like whether God exists or not. People do think he exists. But
what do you directly define supernatural as before we continue?
Yeah. Okay. So what I believe supernatural is something that violates or breaks like the natural laws of said universe. So for example,
and the Yaramir and Tosuka Blade do that how?
Yeah, because they don't like physically exist in like any form of property. They're just conceptual weapons. Like they're concepts.
They do exist. They do exist. That's why people can see them.
I don't think I think it's like a physical. Like it's not like I wouldn't even say it's a manifestation.
The reason that they do exist is because if they didn't, they would be like limbo clones, which don't exist in the same reality. And they can't see them. Yeah. So they do exist.
What I do think though is that I think they're like just avatars, like the actual like conceptual ability. Just based on the way
avatars of a conceptual ability?
Yes, based on the way they're described, yeah.
You know that ain't backed up in the story, brother.
It is it is.
There ain't nothing that says they're avatars of anything. And if anything, you're admitting that it's an avatar.
This is an argument
that might showcase that it doesn't have conceptual powers. Because even if it's like true form Tosuka Blade did have conceptual powers, and you have an avatar, that basically just negates the fact that it even necessarily has to have conceptual powers in the first place. Because it's an avatar.
The point I'm trying to make is that it's a physical like I think it's a manifestation of like the actual weapon, like just a representation of it. Like the ability still works. Like when Itachi's using it, like it's working, but like it just changes based on.
Yeah, but that's just all your headcanon. There's nothing.
It isn't headcanon. It's based on the statements that are supported in the verse.
There's nothing that says that they don't exist. There's nothing that says that they have a true form. There's nothing that implies they're conceptual.
Yeah, this is an argument from ignorance because for one, I'm saying that based off the fact that they don't physically exist and that their property altering abilities, like they alter the attributes of their.
By physical existence, do you mean that like they just don't physically exist, but they non-physically exist.
Yeah, like they're just within space and time. Like I just think like literally like my whole argument is like it just moves at a measurable speed in one-shot Hagoromo. We just can't do anything against it.
That's hilarious, but no, that like I'm confused at like how you got to this conclusion with what statement.
Yeah, okay, it's two statements. The first statement is that it doesn't physically exist. Physically means within space and time. That's what like physically is.
No, it doesn't have to mean that. It just means it doesn't have a physical form, which tons of things don't.
Okay, what does not having a physical form mean?
Someone's got.
Yo, Sunless. Yeah, what does
You literally just don't physically have any form. Like you have no.
Yeah, I know, but what does that mean?
Hold on. I'm trying to get to it. Like it's kind of hard to even describe like what not having a physical form is besides just saying that. So I'm trying to like think of like.
I can give you the definition. Just not having space and time. Like just literally.
I don't think it has to not be in space and time. I think that spirits exist in time. That's why Hagoromo is able to fly through time as a spirit.
Hagoromo's he manifests himself as chakra.
Yeah, he's literally stated to cross time as a spirit.
I think what that's referring to is that he trapped himself like as chakra, like waiting, like just like within his like vessels or whatever.
Chakra is spiritual as well, so it really doesn't change.
Chakra isn't really spiritual. I don't agree with that.
It is. It's stated to be spiritual energy.
I mean,
that's why chakra can touch souls, and that's why chakra can affect like.
It depends on the chakra because I mean
regular chakra can do it.
But it also physically interacts with characters, yes?
Yeah, it can have a physical interaction, but that's like saying a ghost, like in Scooby-Doo, that touches a human isn't non-physical, because obviously they can have physical interaction, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can physically interact with them.
That's what physical means, though. Like that's the problem. Like you're not getting. It's that I'm saying that like this is what I was telling you. What Itachi's ability does isn't like it fucking stabs you. I'm saying it manipulates your conceptual idea. And negates that.
It literally did cut off and physically interact with a physical being.
That's what I'm telling you. That's not what happened. That's what's in question right now.
That is. It literally cut off its head, and then it blood started pouring out.
You can think that. But I'm telling you, the reason why that happened is because Itachi's altering its conceptual idea, and that manifests in reality.
Yeah, I just don't think you actually have proof for any of this. Sorry. You're just saying that it doesn't have physical form, therefore it's not in space and time. But I've already kind of debunked that. I showed that things that don't have physical form exist in space and time. Okay. So it doesn't really change anything.
The problem is that the examples that you gave are things that I would consider physical. Like a ghost that can touch humans and like hang around humans and interact with humans would be absolutely a physical thing.
What do you think? For one, I think that like by that definition, the Yadomir and Totsuka blade would be physical. Like if that's your actual like opinion on it, they are physical because they touch physical things.
I just told you like I
think there's nothing wrong with ghosts having this like in fiction having this contradictory ability to be able to touch physical things and other physical things not be able to touch them. A good example of this is Limbo. Nobody can touch the Limbo, but the Limbo can touch people, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean they're not physical. It just means that it doesn't mean that they're not non-physical. It just means that they have an ability to interact with physical things and other things don't.
Yeah. So the first point I'm trying to make is it's going to be like really meta. I don't really know even about the debate. I just don't think contradictions exist in fiction. Period.
You can write a contradiction in fiction.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, so I'm gonna write a contradiction right now. I'm gonna say that here's a good example. The Terminator, right? The Terminator, when he goes back in time, or not the Terminator, John Connor, when he goes back in time to save, Sarah Connor, who John Connor's actually younger. Not John Connor, fucking Kyle Reese, my bad. Kyle Reese goes back in time to save Sarah Connor so he can impregnate her with John Connor. John Connor becomes a general that's like important later, and Kyle Reese actually works under him and is younger than him. So he like physically should not be older than him, yet he's creating a time paradox by going back in time to impregnate a wife to have a baby who will end up being older than him.
That isn't like a logic contradiction. Like the propositions like all follow, but I'm trying to say that's the reason why we have outliers in verses, because in like any like verse, like if there's like 5 statements of one character being stronger and one statement that says the opposite, we'd be like,
paradoxes are contradictions real quick, right?
I don't think
my fault. Yo, at 6 o'clock, whatever point that you're still on, if you're still still on this point at 6
we
o'clock.
can, we can, yeah, we
Let me
can
get a conclusion.
Yeah, okay, I got you. Because what I was trying to say is like with paradoxes, like for example, the liar's paradox, I don't think like they're either like true fact. Like, I mean, this is getting really philosophical. If you really want to go down this route, we can. But I don't think like we.
It's just so irrelevant. To the topic, brother.
Yeah. So back to what we were talking about before that. So to respond again, I don't think like I'll repeat it again because I said it 3 times, but I don't think you understand it. So the Totsuka blade and the Yadomir don't physically interact. What we see happen, like them cutting heads off, that's due to like their conceptual form being manipulated and that manifesting into reality. And
do you agree that their conceptual form would be interacting physically with this thing?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Then how are they touching it? Okay. How can a metaphysical thing interact with a physical thing?
I'll explain to you how. So let's say, for example, one day, like what we believe red is actually blue. Like we just one day like all wake up and just think red is blue. We would then see that in reality by like us considering like red to be blue. Like our reality would like have blue red, like for example. Or let's say the concept of beauty is like all of a sudden like the opposite. Like we would like find shit beautiful. Like literal dog shit, like beautiful.
So someone's like changing human perception of something. I don't see how this is.
It can be considered like that. But let's take another like stronger example. Let's take the example of like trees, okay? Let's say, for example, the concept of trees is altered and every single tree now is a football. Like the idea of a tree is a football. Every tree in reality would be a football. That's kind of the way I'm seeing it. And I'm saying that what Itachi is doing based off the statements that are made in the data book by altering its properties to match and negate the
So you do agree they manifest in reality then?
But they're not interacting with the entity. I'm saying that once a conceptual
you just said that they literally manifest in reality.
That doesn't mean they interact. You understand that?
But they are interacting on panel. Like they literally are touching things on panel.
That's the question. I'm telling you what's
happening. What you're saying is that they're physically manifesting to interact with something physical.
I'm saying Orochimaru's wound is manifesting into reality because his concept has changed. Now Orochimaru's a headless monster after he gets stabbed.
This is all headcanon, brother. There's just
I gave you the justification for it. I gave you 3 statements.
No, you've tried to like reason it, but there's nothing actually in the story that's supports it.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you this one. What's your interpretation of its non-physical attributes being changed? Because again, we both agree that it's said to be non-physical.
Non-physical attributes being changed. Yeah. I think it can both have physical and non-physical properties and be able to interact with things. Okay. And it changes its physical properties, and it also is a spirit weapon that can't be interacted with by non-spiritual beings.
Okay, so if that is the case, we obviously see it interact with by like non-spiritual beings like Orochimaru. So like that's even your interpretation, like according to you, because I'm granted, like I'm not saying that that's what I believe, but that's obviously what you believe.
Yeah.
You granting that, like, just makes your argument fall apart because according to you, if it's a non-spiritual entity and a spiritual entity, they shouldn't be able to interact, but obviously they do. So clearly there's something wrong there.
I was arguing earlier, I think that you can just write a contradiction. Like you can write a paradox down, for instance.
I mean, I'm glad that you concede it's a contradiction here, but
like
I don't think
him being like doing something that should be contradictory from our normal physical laws and like our laws doesn't mean that it's contradictory in Naruto's laws. Naruto has different physical laws.
Wait, that's not a contradiction though. I agree. I agree that like certain verses have different laws.
I'm speaking from contradiction from like our verse. Yes.
But the laws of logic have to be consistent because again, like that's what I'm telling you. Like this is why we apply like outliers and like the Naruto verse.
I think the only law of logic that would be applicable to like all of fiction is the law of identity. I don't think the law of non-contradiction.
Yeah, but the issue is that all the laws of logic are cross-sectional. If you invoke one law, you're invoking the other laws because.
Do you agree that I can like say something that's like contradictory? Like I can just say something that's actually contradictory to the law of non-contradiction?
Okay. So, for example, give me an example actually.
Like, let's say that like I'd say a paradox of some sort.
Sure. Like what? Like the liar's paradox? You think that's a?
I don't know the liar's paradox.
Okay,
I was using the John Connor example earlier.
Oh, yeah.
But like that's literally a contradiction because like
I don't think that's a contradiction, but
it is. Let me describe why it is. Okay. So basically, a Terminator is sent back in time to kill the mother of the resistance leader, right? So the resistance leader is John Connor, the mother Sarah Connor. They send a Terminator back in time to murder Sarah Connor so that way John Connor's never born and leads the resistance. The problem is, if that happens, that creates a causal that creates an error in a causal loop. Because if John Connor never existed, then the resistance would never form. If the resistance never forms, they never send Kyle Reese back in time. Kyle Reese never gets sent back in time. He never meets Sarah Connor and never fathers John Connor.
Yeah.
So it creates like an actual causal paradox.
The issue is that this isn't a contradiction because there's ways around it. For one, you can argue that it's two split timelines. You can argue it's like a time loop. You can there's ways around it that doesn't necessitate.
I think a time loop would inherently create a contradiction as well if that's the case, because that's also just negating the standard causal relationship.
But it's not at the same time, and also there's a lot of theories which don't fully take on causal relationships. For example, there's a lot of obviously theists and stuff believe there's uncaused beings like God, for example, no causal relationship there. Others believe in brute facts, just entities that simply exist without a causal.
It's literally called the grandfather paradox. So
I know about the grandfather paradox. But I'm saying those paradoxes can, still have workarounds that are not contradictory. But
but they have actual logical and mathematical issues that can't happen.
I mean,
so if hypothetically I wrote down that there's no other timeline, and I just said this is one timeline, and I say that, and I create that causal paradox, I have just created a paradox that doesn't abide by our laws of logic. That doesn't mean it can't exist in fiction, because paradoxes and contradictions can exist in fiction. Pigs can fly in fiction, brother.
But again, that's what I'm telling you. That the reason why you don't agree with that, and you just don't know that you don't agree with that, is because you use outliers in debates. I don't know about you personally, just in general, VSBW, just general scaling, outliers are very common within fictional debates because, again, sometimes the author is just wrong about something, or sometimes it's this is an inconsistency within the series, and you don't take it into account because nobody's gonna be oh, it just means Naruto's stronger than Itachi, and Itachi's stronger than Naruto at the same time. Nobody thinks like that, but they'd be oh, maybe that was just one outlier for Itachi, and Naruto's just consistently stronger.
I think that's just an argument from incredulity. You said nobody thinks like that, as if it's you disbelieve it.
I'm just saying that's just generally how things are taken into account. Maybe you're unique, maybe you don't take it like that. But the issue, if you really want a general argument logicality, you just use the conceivability thesis. You can't conceive of a contradiction. Fiction's what's conceivable, so you can't apply it with fictional books.
Yeah, but I could literally write a contradiction. Just because I say a contradiction doesn't mean it exists in real life. The only contradictions we actually have to abide by are things that actually exist in real life, right? We can't do something contradictory in real life. We can do things contradictory in fiction because it's not real. It doesn't abide by our laws.
So are y'all ready for conclusions or no?
Yeah, I'm ready for conclusions. I'm just saying this one last thing because again, logical contradictions aren't just related to our life. It's all just modality. It governs.
I haven't really given a win con, so I'd like to give a win.
Oh yeah,
con,
go give a win con. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that Hagoromo can just erase Itachi with the truth-seeking orb. The way he was describing the Yadamir and Totsuka, or the Yadamir earlier, was that it can alter its properties. Well, this isn't just altering its properties. It's fundamentally erasing its properties to a point of nothingness. So I think that fundamentally supersedes the Yadamir and would just go right through it, and it would just erase Itachi instantly.
Wait, hold on. What's your basis for the erasing nothingness? Because
it's stated that it can return things to nothing.
Can't that just be
it's stated to be erasure as well?
You can show me those statements, but can that just be hyperbolic? Because we see people like Minato, for example, block it, for example, lose back.
It's saying it could be hyperbolic isn't actually an argument.
Yeah, okay, I get that, but my likelihood reasoning for it is that Minato just takes 5 of them in the back.
Any statement ever could be hyperbolic, right?
I get that, but I'm saying obviously we know there's certain statements when you look at context that makes it more likely to be hyperbolic.
Yes, there are certain statements, but I think it's consistent. You have to. I think we can agree on this that any statement ever can be hyperbolic, but you have to specifically show context to suggest it's hyperbolic. Otherwise, we go with a default interpretation.
I want to the context I just gave you is that Minato takes 5 of them in the back, when they're fighting against Might Guy.
You said Minato what?
Takes 5 of them in the back when he's guarding Might Guy.
No, it actually just hits his jacket and teleports so fast that it doesn't actually do anything.
It hits his jacket?
Yeah, it hits his jacket and he teleports so fast that it doesn't even have time to erase his back.
It hits his back. What?
It hits his jacket, and then he teleports so fast
how
that
does
it
it
didn't
hit
have
his-
time to erase it.
Okay, so why didn't his jacket get erased then?
We don't know if it did. It was laid on the ground afterwards.
But we don't see holes in it. Like this is silly.
It's laid in a pile on the ground. It very well could have holes in it. Yes.
We don't. We would see it go through the jacket. Like
Not if we literally don't see it because he teleports. So we literally aren't able to see if it went through the jacket or not. He teleports and it's gone instantly.
We see the jacket. I mean, I'm pretty sure we see the jacket again. But if that's
we do see the jacket again. But like I said, it's crumpled up on the ground. You can't tell if it has holes in it or not. It's like this little small, like little fucking drawing. It's terrible.
I mean, we can look. I mean, I don't remember it exactly. We can look at it.
You can, yeah, I can show you it. But like Minato after that just doesn't wear his jacket for the rest of the fight. So I think the implication is that his jacket got messed up.
Regardless, like I think that characters like just. We see like heal from like the fruit seeking orbs anyways. Like
you said what?
We don't see like we just don't see it erase like on contact or anything like that.
It does erase because when it hits Minato, like when it cuts off his arm and stuff, it not only like completely reduces it to nothing, it also like even erased his soul because his soul was gone. His soul arms were even destroyed. So I think that like yeah, it just does actually erase you on a physical and non-physical level.
Okay, I'm pretty sure Hiruzen heals from it. I'm not too sure on it. I can grant it to you too, but the problem again is like that's an attribute, and I can just argue that Itachi's Yada Mirror will change its attributes, so like it doesn't have that existence property anymore. It's immune to it.
The problem is that this fundamentally uses every aspect in creation that's made everything, including the Yada Mirror. Fundamental level in Naruto.
Again, we already like contended this. I already explained to you how I think.
I gotta show some scans real quick.
Yeah, you can show your scans. But, like I'm just gonna explain like how I already contended it because we talked about like how with the all things in nature statement because like we just look at the verse like we just see it's the case that like. In this universe that predate him, this thing like the universe existed before Hagoromo existed. Like the idea
I'm not talking about people that exist in his universe. I'm talking about the fundamental aspects of creation that make up the universe, which would include the astral weapons.
Yeah, and then we talked about that, and that's when we got into like the super.
Like, there's nothing. Okay, we're just going circular. That's fine. I'm gonna show scans, and we can just we don't have to go further. If we're just gonna get back into the whole thing where it's like
so that's definitely
hold on. Let me just grab a couple scans real quick, and then I'll
yeah. Okay, so a demonstration. His will.
Yo, Hermes, you here?
To mature with both eyes recovered, the true power of the six paths was unleashed by Madara. With both eyes came a sharp brilliance of fortitude.
I'm having to find this on the fly, so here's this.
Yeah, it's fine. Take your time.
Here's this.
Madara's awakening his plans. Accomplished was a demonstration of his will as the flower bud of the holy tree grew of the moon. When someone
to show that the arms were cut off with the truth-seeking orb.
Madara awakened.
I got one more.
Wait, this just says like Madara has six paths, and I'm guessing that's what you're using.
Yeah, it says the true power of the six paths was unleashed by Madara, basically saying that he was using Hagoromo's powers. But yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Hold on. I got one more to show us.
Yeah.
Seeking orbs. Race.
I would show y'all boys the scans I'm talking about. Like Noodles already knows about them, but I can send them too. Like if y'all want more context, because I feel like I didn't do that for you guys.
Yeah, you want if you want scans pull up to send it to me.
Yeah, I can send this.
Noodles, you done with this one right here, or
yeah, that just shows the truth-seeking orb cutting off his arm. So now show the Minato one where his arms are cut off. There's his arm. We might get erased. Talking about the truth-seeking orbs. So yeah, it just says erasure. It doesn't perfectly have that.
We've already went through this. Like, we already talked about like how I just think that could be referred to the chakra natures.
I get that, but the chakra natures are what make up reality. Like when Hagoromo physically created the Biju out of nothing. Like it's stated that Hagoromo created the Biju out of nothing and then infused life into them. So it's literally like he fundamentally created something, like he reality warped the Biju into existence. So he is like fundamentally creating things. What's this
like,
one?
I get he's manipulating chakra and using chakra. Nobody disagrees with that. But the idea that it's like everything in creation is not true, especially since I think again it's referring to like the chakra.
I think Shinra pull this up for your scaling.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm about to say no, my fault. I'm supposed Zizzo. 1 second. Since you brought this up, are you ready for your conclusion or no?
Yeah. I don't mind concluding.
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah, like I think we already addressed everything. Like,
all right. Hermes and Senju, y'all here still?
Hello, am I lagging?
Senju, you been tracking?
Majority of it, yes.
All right, I'm gonna let you judge for this one, all right?
Okay, so
Just because my other judges are slacking on me, clearly.
Yeah, I guess Cizo give me conclusions and Noodles give me conclusions.
Yeah, so for my conclusion is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna like reiterate my argument again. So my argument is just that like Itachi like uses the Totsuka blade and the Yatamir like at immeasurable speeds, but like they're non-physical, like just kill Hagoromo because they don't use conventional AP or they don't use conventional scaling. So Hagoromo's scaling doesn't really matter because it manipulates the attributes and concepts of what Hagoromo is. Like what Hagoromo is as a concept, Itachi like will stab that and attack that. Given that the weapon is non-physical and we describe it as attributes, and given that we talked about what attributes are and how it's not referring to physical attributes, it has to be referring to conceptual attributes. And we won on that point, and I don't think again Noodles contended exactly to where like it wasn't talking about conceptual abilities. He tried to put into question that it wasn't referring to 6 path abilities, but I said specifically that's just an argument from ignorance, like verbatim. And like again, I just don't think Noodles really like responded to it. And then I further corroborated my evidence by Zetsu, who's seen all those abilities, and just says, "Oh, Itachi's invincible." And that's when he tried to say like, "Oh, that could be referring to Sasuke and stuff." And that's what I was telling him, like, that would mean he's using it as a relative term, and it wouldn't make sense for him to talk about like a weakened Sasuke and describe him as invincible. It has to be talking about something else, which is the 2 abilities he has. Because, like, for example, if someone beats on a 3-year-old, nobody would be like, "Oh, he's invincible," or something like that. Like, invincible has a connotations, it has oomph to it, like it has like ridiculous like connotations. So clearly, like, there's like that evidence supporting like Itachi's like narrative and the 2 swords that he has being like actual conceptual weapons that like Hagoromo can't do anything against. And back to the stuff about the truth-seeking orbs and stuff, that was like his main win con. The stuff about like him creating all things and all that, like I don't agree with it because for one, it's not the case in the verse that he did create all things, and my justification for that is characters like Kaguya and stuff exist before him, the universe existed before him. So he tried to like change it to like the fundamental forces. But then I said if that's the case and we can interpret it in any way, why can't that just be referring to the 7 chakra natures? And that's kind of like, you can just manipulate the 7 chakra natures because he founded it. And if that's all it is, I just don't see like where he'd be getting the idea that he can erase attributes, this, that, and the third, and all this like exaggerated scaling that the ability has. And then I kind of try to support that by saying that the erasure stuff isn't exactly literal like about erasing attributes and stuff, given that Minato was able to take 5 of them in the back and like survive. And that's like when he goes like this ridiculous stuff about it just touched his jacket lightly, but we didn't see it like erase it, this, that, and the third. And I just don't think Noodles gave the scaling. I don't think Noodles gave the real counters to like anything we were talking about. In fact, he concedes that there's a contradiction in his interpretation, but tries to argue that like contradictions exist within fiction and gave these analogies. But he literally says verbatim, like Itachi, like just like his interpretation of how Totsuka mirror and Yatamir work is contradictory. So I think given that mine doesn't have contradiction, I justified why I think like contradictions don't exist in fiction. I counted all of his win cons. I just think I won the debate. Noodles can give his conclusion.
All right. Yeah. So I guess I should start with the fact that he granted me that Hagoromo does just have like absolute existence erasure. He said, even if I grant you this, so he's like acknowledging my win con can just like erase things fundamentally. He tried to argue that maybe like the Yatamir could alter its properties to resist the truth-seeking orb, but the problem is you can't alter your properties to something that actually erases those properties, those same properties. He tried to say that he was only manipulating the 7 natures, but the 7 natures is what fundamentally makes up the Naruto-verse. It is what makes it up. That's what the fundamental aspects of creation was. That was the statement when I said he could touch the principles of all of creation and command all things in nature. I gave the example of him creating the Nine Tails and the Biju out of nothing. He literally created them from nothing. The creation of all things, Jutsu, I referenced earlier in the debate, he's able to literally manipulate and create things out of nothing. Like everything in the verse is fundamentally made up of these 7 chakra natures. So just saying that it manipulates the 7 chakra natures isn't some debunk. It actually just is what the fundamental aspects of reality is in Naruto. He tried to say that like there's things that predate Hagoromo, but I countered this by saying that the things that predate Hagoromo are from other dimensions, and all of creation can easily just refer to like the regular universe because it uses the kanji Shinra Bancho, which can just mean the universe. So it doesn't have to refer to other dimensions. I'm not saying he created those things, and I'm not even saying he created everything in the universe. I'm saying he has the ability to create anything in the universe because he fundamentally manipulates it on a level that far supersedes anything the Yatamir was actually justified to do. And yeah, he kind of tried to like do this like philosophical argument where he said that I made a contradiction in my position, but I actually just justified to him how paradoxes can be written down, paradoxes can be said, contradictions can be said aloud. And that's the same thing as contradictions existing in fiction. There's nothing inherently wrong with a contradiction existing in fiction. Sure, a contradiction in real life can exist, and that violates the law of non-contradiction. But as far as I'm concerned, fiction is not real life, and it doesn't have to abide by any of our real life laws. So things totally can violate the law of non-contradiction. I don't think he really had a counter to that, like the effective one at least. I can't remember exactly what he said to that, but yeah, I mean, I basically proved that Hagoromo like has all of Itachi's powers. He can manipulate them probably better than anyone else. He has all of the abilities of the Uchiha and Senju. He has the truth-seeking orb that would just erase anything that he has. He tried to say that he had a measurable speed. I asked for proof of that in the manga. He literally never provided anything that suggested that. He tried to say that this was a conceptual attack, but he just admitted later that it was spiritual. Like he was trying to argue it was conceptual because it was non-physical, but then admitted it was spiritual. Spiritual things aren't inherently conceptual. They're not just formless ideas. They're actual things that exist in Naruto. And just because you're a spirit, that doesn't suddenly make you a concept. Otherwise, Hagoromo being a spirit would make him a conceptual entity as well. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think I just kind of like walked through every major point.
Okay. So
I don't want to cut you off, but like before you give your judgment, like you want Hermes like to discuss it with him first, or like I think that's a better idea.
I think you have to give your judgments personally, but
I've heard both your closings. Are you wanting the second judge or?
Yeah, we have 2 judges. It was I thought it was
at first it was Glory Boy, but Glory Boy never ended up showing up. So Hermes, I don't even think Hermes been tracking this whole time.
I mean, I understood both your judgments, and I've listened.
Hermes, so you still here?
The only time I stopped listening was when I had to go downstairs to have people doing concrete. But
yeah.
Both of yours is very simplistic and understanding. I honestly have Noodles winning, even in the end run, simply because for one,
With absolute erasure versus like normal erasure, even if you want to say like the complexity of it could be different, when you deem something absolute, it's going to be something which is unchangeable or something that it can always be of the above. Unless you're holding to a different definition, but because we're abiding to the normal definition outside of, because there's no definition stipulated within the debate, then that would be how the judge would look at it.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it that way too. So I take it that point was, even if you want to say the point was addressed, because you granted him that already puts.
I didn't grant him that. by the way. Like, I don't know where Noodles got that from. Like, if you can look at the recording, I did not grant him that. I told him I can grant him.
Also heard, by the way,
listen,
Cesar, I did hear you say, even if I grant you this, and then you went on to go explain why it wouldn't matter if you grant him this. And that was the comment of absolute erasure.
I granted him erasure, not conceptual erasure or anything like that. Like, I said that verbatim.
I never said conceptual, I said absolute.
I mean,
You
regardless,
said absolute.
I explained the levels, but like, if you really want to like take that,
Just let him do it. Just let him do it. Cesar.
I know that's fine.
I know it's not that serious.
Yeah. Outside of that, holy shit. Outside of that point, I think yes, there are things in which it sound ridiculous. I don't know if I can remember if Noodles brought up panels about the coat thing. For my sake of judging, I just holded that to like equal interpretation. Both of you don't get a point on that because why the interpretations were given, Noodles didn't show anything to prove that the coat was just him teleporting away. It was just that, granted, we see him throughout the battle. He had his coat. However, I think Zizo responded to this well. Last point was, and the reason why I have Noodles winning is mainly for the fact that his win con just seems more precedented over the explanation of what you were trying to provide, Zizo.
Wait, what do you mean his win con is more precedented?
Meaning that with points being made, let's say Yadimir can erase the properties of this.
What?
However, you cannot erase something which is absolute. If it were the case that the absolute, if it was absolute and you granted this, then nothing is going to be over that. And that was his main win con was.
I don't know if like I'm delusional. I don't know if I'm delusional or something, but I don't remember granting like anything absolute like that. Like I remember I granted him like erasure, and I remember recording.
Maybe I'm misinterpreting.
Yeah, but because I swear to God, like I do not remember granting him that.
Zizo, what he's talking about is when like you went on some subcoin on
Well,
the
he's aware.
thing that he made already.
I know what y'all are talking about because I remember
He
granting
knows the
him.
point.
I mean,
He
yeah, but
doesn't
you
remember
doing that.
Noodles
Listen,
being
you
absolute.
doing that is like basically an auto concession for auto
No,
concession.
I don't agree, bro. I really don't agree with that. But like, I granted like I could say like even if I granted you erasure, like I was talking about like it wouldn't like erase his concepts and stuff. Like I remember specifically saying that, and that's kind of what I was arguing upon. But if
the whole content, that's what you're saying.
guess,
Oh no, he was making an argument against it. I don't know where y'all ended up.
Noodles. Okay, Noodles made an argument that it was absolute erasure. It wasn't. He didn't bring up conceptual or anything like conceptual erasure
All the
and
fundamental
erasure.
aspects of reality.
Yeah, he brought up that it can erase concepts of reality, which is fine. The idea was, in which you stated, was that if it were the case that I grant you this, which in reference to the statement of after that, he did say absolute erasure, like it erases these things, which makes it absolute. It's going to be the pinnacle, right? Normally when we take absolute as a definition, we're saying it will always be the case that this thing is prioritized over the other. It is absolute to no regard, no matter what is being addressed towards it. You giving that and saying, even if I grant you this, is a stipulation of granting someone this because you believe it does not matter, which you did state and then moved on.
I specified there's levels, but like if that's what you think, I mean that's fine. I'm not like been like debating you.
No, that's fine. I didn't agree with levels. It could be the time again, like I said before, with my judgment, I did leave out of this debate. It could be when that happened.
I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, yeah. Like because I swear to God, like I remember this. I can maybe get you the clip or something, but like. Yeah, like
we want to look over recording.
Okay. But let me ask you this: besides like that small part, like, is there anything else? Like,
I don't think either of you clear when you were talking about spiritual properties earlier in the debate. I don't think anything was cleared up, especially when even if we're going to go a little bit into philosophical wise. What Noodles was presenting was a dualist account of physicalism and non-physicalism, which accounts that both can be interactive with each other. You never really attacked that, nor did Noodles attack the point of you being a non-physicalist that believe that if you have something which is a non-physical property, then it cannot interact with physical properties, so there would be a contradiction.
So, I mean, basically, just besides like that little like misunderstanding, it's basically incon. Is that what you're saying?
It's literally incon. The only reason I have Noodles winning is strictly because the point seems to be more precedent over that one blunder.
All right.
Even then, if that comes back to be like, oh, I fucked up as a judge because I wasn't here for that explanation of like their hierarchy, or maybe it was the case that like if you said, oh, it wasn't directed towards absolute, or it was a misunderstanding on my part, then that's on me as a judge, right?
I mean that's fair then, because yeah, like I just swear like I remember like what I said.
Majority of the points I listened to, it just seemed that a lot of it was just incon. You guys didn't come to a consensus of definitions, like with like dualism and non-physicalists. Then you went into like the other team. Like a lot of these were just incon, and I was like, okay, this is like mute, this is mute, this is mute. Okay, this is the one thing that
Yeah, and then I can also send the recording to Dead Boy and Hermes too, because like they're also good.
I'm down. Like I said, if Zizo and if Sunless can give me the rec, which I know Sunless can.
Yeah.
Me and Zizo can go over rec. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it, right? But personally, just from what I've heard, and again, I've stipulated I did leave to go for a bit because I'm dealing with people who are doing the concrete in my backyard.
That's cool. No, I get that. That's cool. That's fine.
I will go over it with him. But yeah.
So how about this? Right, Sandru, I'm gonna give you mods so that way you can look at the recording afterwards and shit.
Yeah.
I'm just not really trying to do all this.
So right, listen. So for conclusion, Sandru, you said that you believe that Noodles had that.
Yeah.
All right. So now listen. Zizzo, Sandru's gonna re-look over the recording, then that's gonna give like a clear answer if you want or not, basically.
Which
but
would take, like,
right now, I'm gonna say if that's not in there, Noodles got it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
If we're just waiting on judgment, though, is this going to inhibit like the further progression of the tournament? Because we're just going to end up arguing forever on it.
No. I'm not saying like this or anything, but like Senju technically wasn't like the agreed upon judge. It was Dead Boy and Hermes, but I mean they're not on right now.
I had Senju in here with
Yeah, and then Hermes like is Australian, so he's probably like a student. But
Hermes hasn't even spoken. I've tried to.
He's a smart guy. I can send you like a debate, like him out. But
yeah, like I said, also Hermes. Actually, fuck it. I'll send Hermes got Mars too. I'll tell Hermes to go over it as well.
Yeah,
and Senju and Hermes are gonna go over it, and they're gonna let y'all know who's the winner.
Yeah. In any case, Noodles will just be continuing over with him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean that's fine.
Right. So Hermes and Senju, y'all both got live recording. I'm gonna end the live just so y'all can like look back on that.
Yeah.
And see who won that.
Are we gonna do another tournament debate, or is this?
Yeah, definitely another one later on today. Another round later on today.
Just like at me, I can be a proper judge if you need.
All right, perfect. Because my judge, I gotta see what's up with my judges. Because my judges is.
I was barely listening. I was like still listening, and I was still able to cover a majority of it. It was just that because I wasn't judge, I was still leaving in and out.
Yeah, I felt that. Yeah, that's because you wasn't like. Yeah, I know. But y'all both got recordings. I would love for y'all to look through that and give me y'all response on that. I'm gonna text Hermes on Discord because he's not responding on the TikTok. But W first round.
Good job, Zizo. Appreciate the debate. I understand the position you were put in arguing this, so I'm not mad at you for trying to do like philosophy goonery and stuff. I know you couldn't actually like honestly argue that Itachi won, so you had to go this route, which that's fine. It is what it is. So I appreciate y'all though. Boy, got the W, boys. At least one judge gave me the W. The other one is Zizo's kind of like gooning on him to make him go rewatch the recording. But let me have a look see at chat here. Recording, but let me have a look see. What's up, Mark DeNachos? Oh, Mark D Chaos. I thought it said Nachos. How Grandma would beat Renegon Sasuke, so I don't know how they think Itachi wins. Yeah. Did anyone donate in here while I was gone? I saw there was like an initial donation, but new shittles. I'll read the comment if it was donated. Someone can screenshot what it said to me. W Noodles had me worried on that first point you cooked after. Got to stop interrupting though. Listen, brother. When I hear people going on tangents, sometimes I can't help myself. But yeah, I agree. I don't remember what the first point was. Itachi's using no weapons are just avatars of the actual weapons. Oh yeah, that point was insane, bro. I was sitting there listening to that, like, this shit is just not backed up in the source material. How you feel, Noodles? I have a headache, honestly. I have a headache. Did you guys enjoy the debate at least? I know it was a bit, like, not honest. Like, it was kind of like a philosophical goon argument. There was no, like, real honest arguments being put forward on his side, but I hope you guys at least enjoyed it. Another KO from Noodles. Think I knocked him out? Like, how bad? Like, you think, oh, he's out cold. Damn. Did I slump him, Slump God? Did he get slumped out? You won, not gonna lie. Could you check my speed scale? Yeah.
Accuracy, but if you guys want...
Sorry. Appreciate the 10, Hobo Sasuke, by the way. Dun, dun, dun. Bro, the fact that the judges are looking back over the footage of the debate is insane. Yeah, that is 100% factual, Kosu. Because even if it hit his back, it didn't erase him when it destroyed his arm. Why would it do that to his back? Yeah. You like this form of content? Well, that's good, bro. That's what I'm trying to do. Get my ass in here. How about I bring you guys into my stream instead? How about we do that? Can we do that, boys? Let me call Nate and just add in Kosu.
Oh shit.
What's up, boys?
What's up, dog?
All right, immediate reactions. What do you guys think?
Just fucking cheeks. Zizo's a fucking dishonest retard.
No, it's not like that. He kind of had to argue dishonestly because of the matchup, and
He did, but there were certain things that were just.
There was some stuff in there that was like, yeah, he was towing the line. He was towing the line.
Yeah,
Dude, the minute he
said
didn't
even like follow for me, like it just didn't seem like it was even connecting. Like I was like, what the hell is he saying, bro?
I'm just surprised he didn't just start arguing the truth seeker orbs like from the beginning.
I kind of just wanted to see what he had, just to see what like if it was even like worth discussing. And before,
yeah, like, but the thing is, even based off of what he was trying to argue, like the TSO is just a defeater, you know?
Yeah, they are. They just fun. Like, how are you going to alter a property if that property is just erasing yours? You know what I mean? Like, you can't alter your properties to block a truth-seeking orb when the truth-seeking orb's erasing the fundamental properties that you're even using to begin with.
Yeah.
So,
what really started to like annoy me through the debate was the fact that he kept like trying to put down your statements by saying that there's like obviously some kind of alternative interpretation to it, right? But then he turns around and starts saying that his statements are to be taken literal, right? It's that shit started to annoy the hell out of me.
You got that Orochimaru Sage chakra thing wrong, by the way.
No, I think Noodles is dying.
Sorry, I was typing to Sunless, who's the guy running the tournament. They're talking about sending me the recording now. I'm just like, I don't really think I need to re-listen to the recording. But I will have it just in case like an argument is made and I can like try and refute it. But
I mean, he did just let the fucking that point go. It's that's the only point of contention for him and the judges right now is whether or not he actually granted.
He did. He didn't even have like a response to the erasure point. Like, it's just like, okay, even if I grant that, let's talk about something else. Like,
he tried to like slide it under the rug. It's like, dude, no, we're pulling the rug up. Like,
I watched
we're
most
looking
of the debate, but missed the judging. One judge said I won. The other one wasn't even paying attention, so they have to go back over it.
What was he even there for?
The other judges left. Apparently, I'm just like, what the hell? Like,
what a structure. What organization? You know, like that's beautiful. It's like he blatantly did like grant that to you, even if he was saying it in the way of just like, even if I were to. But if it's like, if you're gonna acknowledge it and then never refute it, right, then that it kind of does just fall through. Like, I don't understand what's hard to understand about that. Not only that, is that he couldn't even properly justify the concept thing.
Yeah, he couldn't. I still am not like figuring out like what the justification was to the concept thing. Why 2 judges? I don't know, bro. It was supposed to be 3. It was supposed to be 3, but one of the judges left.
Wait, are you still recording?
As the best chat
or are you live?
Yeah, we're still live. As the best chat judge of all time, you won. Itachi greater than Kasame, greater than Pain. That's true. Yeah, you're actually spitting. Good job, brother.
Noodles.
Good job.
You got that Orochimaru chakra point wrong, by the way.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, you know how you like have to infuse Sage Chakra to make Sage Jutsu. Otherwise, it's just raw nature energy.
Well, I'm talking about the curse mark specifically, because he just does say himself that he put like his Sage Chakra in there.
That still doesn't mean that it's actually Sage Jutsu though, because it's getting altered. We don't know exactly what the alteration
mind
is.
Me, I should have mind me. I should have said that better. He says he put his Sage Jutsu Chakra in. Mind me.
Yeah, I get that. Like he introduced that to it, but there's something else involved in the curse mark, and because of that, it's no longer necessarily just Sage Jutsu. It might be some weird like abomination.
I mean, it's just him. It's like a copy of him.
Sort of. It's like a shit copy though. Like it's like a copy that fails to actually get what he, because like the curse mark doesn't actually make him become like Jugo. Jugo's able to like infuse like EMS Sasuke Susanoo with Sage mode. That's not something the curse mark has ever shown the capability to do.
Was that his intention with the curse mark? Well, I know that's originally what it was, but
yeah. Either way, it doesn't fucking matter because I don't think he had to be infusing Sage. Like the curse mark point is pointless because Itachi didn't interact with the curse marks. Like Orochimaru just escaped from Sasuke's body. He just left, and then the curse mark disappeared. It wasn't like Itachi grabbed the curse mark or interacted with the curse mark. He just made Sasuke run out of chakra so Orochimaru would come out. And, like, that was it. That's all he did. He didn't even, like, touch Orochimaru or until he was out of the body. So.
I'm getting to it. Hold on, I want to see what he says it exactly about the curse mark.
Of the bits that you did watch mid-top, what did you think?
It was funny when he'd, like, just try and say it at immeasurable speed because of like the space and time stuff. Like he was trying to justify like the conceptual stuff just so he could get to immeasurable speed.
Yeah, and what was funny was like he was just arguing because it was non-physical and spiritual. That means that it's conceptual and outside of time. I'm like, bro, Hagoromo is literally a spirit that is said to cross time. Like, yeah, he's literally crossing through time.
He summoned ghosts from a different plane of existence, dog.
Yeah, it's just.
Dude, honestly, you could have just let him do that, and then it could have just fueled. It could have fueled Hagoromo.
Just bought the new components for my PC. What did I miss? Oh boy.
Oh man,
you missed
out, sir.
An hour and a half of strange argumentation.
Also, to elaborate, Noodles, more on that, like the Minato Truth Seeking Warp thing. They like I said, they did his back. It looks like, but what's funny about that is throughout the rest of like the chapters until the end, we do not see his back again. So we just don't know. But even if it did like hit his back and like dig into him a little bit, like it didn't erase him completely when they erased both of his arms.
I definitely don't think it was an equal interpretation, like how that judge was saying it, because it was like you had like a good excuse as to why it could work, like your logic could work in that case.
Are you talking about the truth-seeking orb thing?
Yeah, with his jacket and stuff.
He literally drops the jacket on the ground, doesn't wear it again, and we never see it again. We never get to see if there's holes in it. It's like, it's just gone.
What's also interesting about it, too, is like when you go back and look at the close-up I sent you of that specific one, it's not even digging into the ground. So it may just be out of range of Madara to where they just don't work anymore. Because like you look at them, they're just sitting on the ground, bro. Why isn't it destroying the ground?
Yeah. All I saw was Koju saying the judges have to rewatch through the debate. What is going on? Basically, just one judge said I won. I guess the other one wasn't paying close enough attention, so he has to go back and rewatch it.
The thing about rewatching it though is that they can like skip through, they can like stop like halfway. Like I just don't have much confidence in the idea that they'll rewatch the entirety of it. But I could be wrong. Only 2 judges is crazy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Judges in general, but like obviously if it's a tournament you kind of need that, but like only 2? Like what happens when both of them disagree, right? Like do they then have to debate?
That's when Sunless, the tournament leader, comes in and he apparently gives his ultimate judgment, I think. I think that's like how it works.
Rather than why need the other 2 judges if you just have like the final say so?
I don't know why Sunless didn't like judge, to be honest, but it's fine.
Yeah. I even said this like earlier on, but like I said, you could have condensed all of it if you just started talking about the truth-seeking orbs.
I could have, but I felt like it's kind of better. Like, okay, I had a style going into this. I was counter-striking, right? Like, I wasn't trying to, like, show my fucking rocket launcher immediately, right? Like, I didn't want to shoot the rocket. I didn't want to drop a nuke on his forehead when I hadn't even seen what he got. Like, you know, maybe he's got, you know, like the nuke disarmer, right? And I'm just not aware of what the nuke disarmer is. So instead of like trying to justify my positions out the gate, I let him go ahead and like say his position and try and justify his. So it was kind of like I'm waiting and just so I can counter strike, knock down any argument he has, and then push my win con through, which that worked. Like it literally worked. So.
It did, but the thing is, it can lead to it dragging on, right? Like, and another problem with that is that it allows for him the opportunity to start digging rabbit holes for both of you to jump in, right? Like that's the only problem I have about it. Like, I don't think you should have like done it at the beginning necessarily, but like probably sooner than later, like maybe before the whole law of non-contradiction bullshit came up, right?
Yeah, that was goofy, man. That was just straight up goofiness.
That was cheeks, dude. He, like I said, anytime that's mentioned in a debate, dude, I want to fucking bash my head against the wall. Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah. Yo, Noodles, I know lifting power doesn't equal, but if we have a character who lifts a 5D construct, could you say that that they're 5D since you would technically need higher D power to do that? Yeah, they would literally have to have higher dimensional physicality. Like lifting strength is somewhat applicable to punching power. Like if you can lift a lot of weight, chances are your muscles are also going to make you hit harder too. So even though it's not 1-to-1, like lifting strength doesn't actually equate to like punching power 1-to-1, it is somewhat relevant. So it becomes
there's some relativity.
Look at someone like Brian Shaw or fucking Eddie Hall, bro. Eddie Hall be folding people with the weakest punches he can throw.
Yeah, like his punches look like they have terrible form, and that's why they're not getting super amplified. But just the raw lifting strength he has allows him to like throw hard as hell.
Like that 1-2v1, he threw like the worst straight you could. He just folded that dude completely.
Are the matchups going to be closer than this? Itachi versus Hago is pretty hard to win that. Yeah, the next one's Hagoromo versus Naruto, which is actually somewhat interesting to me.
Yeah.
But that one actually, I could see like an argument for Naruto winning. Like, so that one.
It's a lot more difficult because like Naruto does just have 6-pad stage mode, dude.
Well, it depends on which version he decides to use. He can use the one that's physically above Hagoromo, which is like the one that's like in Boruto.
I mean, he'd be kind of dumb to not use anything, like either to use anything before the war art. So.
Yeah, what I mean is that like he doesn't have like truth-seeking orbs and shit, and in Boruto, he doesn't have like a lot of sage jutsu anymore. So he does have some, like the lava Rasen Shuriken and shit, but I think he only has like remnants of like Sage 6-pad chakra left. So I think because of that,
I always thought that was kind of a weak, like. I always hate it when people are like, "Oh, he doesn't have any more."
He
like,
does
oh,
have
he
it,
doesn't
but
have
it's
the
just not
same.
the same. It's not the same.
But it's like
because he doesn't even have truth-seeking orbs.
I don't think. I think he doesn't have truth-seeking orbs anymore because he doesn't need them. But the flying one is.
He doesn't
I don't know.
fly. He doesn't use truth-seeking orbs. He's not like using his interdimensional sensing anymore. Things like that. So it's just like to me.
Listen,
are we
gonna pretend that Boruto is anything but not consistent?
Yeah, like, it's terrible. Like Sasuke has his Rinnegan, so I guess that's fine. But apparently
Naruto shouldn't have even lost 6-pad sage mode when he lost Kurama. He should still have it.
Yeah, it's
so
dumb, man.
Hagoromo gave it to him, and he used it in base without Kurama when he first showed up.
I'll let him pick whichever version of Naruto he wants, and then I'm gonna use.
If he's smart, he'll use.
I'm just kidding.
If he's smart, he'll use Boruto at the very least.
Oh man, he's gonna use Fortnite Naruto. That'd be powerful.
It's not a potent when he's an adult, but he's way stronger as an adult, so it doesn't really matter if Naruto doesn't have 6-pad sage mode. Yeah, he's faster and stronger, so he could use that
he's
one. But
physically in his prime.
He's got way less hacks, so it's just like I honestly think that like it's kind of you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, and I'm gonna out hacks with Hagoromo anyway, so it doesn't matter.
He's going to use the last and scale tone area above Hagoromo.
He was telling me in chat before the debate that he was going to Tsukiyome Hagoromo, and he never brought that shit up. I was like,
it just wouldn't 8 work,
counters
man.
prepped for it, bro. I had like 8 or 9 counters, like for why that wouldn't work. I'm like, for what?
It's just like what happens when Hagoromo uses Itachi's reflection jutsu and reflects Tsukiyome back onto him.
Yeah, it just makes him get backlash from it.
Yeah, like. Or it's just like, brother, I got the Rinnegan. That shit's not working.
Ugh. All right, boys.
Dude.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, one of the parts that was funny about that debate was when he just straight up said contradictions don't exist in fiction. And that immediately made me want to give him a noogie, bro.
Like, I was just like, have you never like heard of the paradox in the Terminator? Like, that was like the first thing that came to mind. I was like, how can... Like, you're older than your dad, sending your dad back in time to have sex with your mom to have you. Like, that's literally breaking a causal relationship there. That's the grandfather paradox. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
No contradictions. Do we need to bring up Tamari as universal, bro?
Oh, yeah.
Bro, I literally said in chat, I was just like, man, contradictions don't exist in fiction. I was like, man, let's talk about Dragon Ball as a whole. Like,
do we need to bring up the databook statement of Choji being like the Leaf's strongest wartime weapon in the war when Naruto literally mastered Kurama?
What if I just write this man is a walking contradiction in the literal sense? Like, what if I just write that as a character? Like, he literally.
I'm pretty sure that's been stated for Yujiro and Baki, bro.
Yeah, like he just is a contradiction. Like, physical laws don't apply to him. Like, even like fundamental like logical principles don't apply to him. Like, he's above. He's transcending logic as a whole. He's doing shit that shouldn't even be possible. Right, those kind of things.
Yeah,
you totally can.
Yeah, he just said a lot of goofy things during the debate.
Yeah. I think the only like goofy argument that I had maybe was early on when I like was just kind of like trying to understand what the fuck he was saying, but honestly, like it's hard to even have like a reasonable discussion with people when they like are arguing that way.
That's the thing. Bullshit, yeah, that's what like what turned me off from the debate was when he started getting like really freaking goony with it. I was like, this sounds like 2017 back in said server.
Yeah. I knew he was gonna do that though, because he had fucking Itachi, bro.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I even told Nate earlier when we were in the call, like, there's just no other way you can go about this debate when you're on Itachi's side without having to be like goony, dishonest, like in some form.
Let me look at the rest of this bracket real quick, and then I'm probably gonna hop off for now because I got a bad headache.
Yeah, I'd have a headache after that debate too.
Oh yeah. I'll put the bracket up on screen for everyone just so that they can see what the hell I'm seeing. This is the bracket. So, presuming I move on, I go to fight Naruto, and then the winner of Giorno and Saber is like in the semifinals. And then if I win that one, I'll go on to the finals and fight the winner of Gojo Aizen, Yuichi, Yuha, and Luffy.
Wait, there's one with Giorno versus Saber, like
Yeah.
Saber from Fate.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
Oh, I know.
You know what's worse?
That's
Kosu,
bad.
Yuha versus Yuichi from Demon Slayer, dog. That is.
Oh man,
That's horrible. That's horrible.
Yuha is the only one on that side that's even relevant. On this side, the only one that's really relevant is Saber and maybe Naruto.
yeah. No way they brought some like some fodder ass JoJo character in there, bro. Surfbone, one new video. Damn, dude.
Surfbone, get the fucking video out. Me too. I need to get a video out.
Yeah, you won.
Yeah, I can't talk shit.
Yeah, you're right. But I mean, it's Surfbone, so we can.
I'm the only one here that's recently released a video.
Does causality apply to scaling? Unless something says it doesn't, yes. But like that's just all causal relationships. Like if you give me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I eat it. You know. Come on, no one laugh at that. I'm just gonna hang my butthole now.
Ha 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 ha. I got an ad.
Confused. Yeah,
I got
causal
an ad on
relationships
your
apply
screen.
unless there's something that specifically goes beyond causality, like Hagoromo. Ooh. Oh,
In the process of getting a new PC, not an excuse. Make a video on your phone.
Apparently, the next Usman fight happened and they gave it to Usman again.
Oof. Is it a robbery this time, or is it more clear?
Weasel said it was Usman won, but he said he had it 48-47. He could see it going the other way. So again, it's tight.
This lineup is insane. Naruto's actually for a laundering scheme. Okay, swag. Okay.
Yeah, people are saying it's 2-3-5 Hughes. God damn it. Apparently, Usman kicked him in the nuts several times and also headbutt him. Oh my gosh.
I mean, Dagestanians are anything but cheaters.
How does trans duality work in context of scaling? Well, if you're trans dual, you're above all things that are like opposites to each other. So like you're beyond dimensions and undimensions, right? You're beyond space and time. That's a duality. Trans duality is like transcending all dualities. So if you can think of a duality, it transcends it. John Jones' brother just died. Yeah, I saw that, bro. He died at 39 too. He's kind of young. The UFC already posted something about it. Like, we're saddened to hear about this or whatever. I feel bad for him. I don't feel bad for Jones. He deserves whatever happens to him. It's what you do when you beat your wife, though. You know, and do all that crazy shit. Go watch my John Jones is Truly Evil video right now.
Yeah, it's a good video.
Actually,
you guys should. He worked very hard on it. So you guys better leave a like and share it.
What do you think, he deserved his brother's death? No, I don't think he deserved it. I just don't care. I don't care that he's upset or whatever. I care for Arthur Jones, the one that died, and his family, like, besides Jones. I just don't care about Jones's feelings. Like, if Jones feels bad, I'm happy about it. Not happy, but
John Jones is a bad person.
Yeah. But yeah, nobody deserves that to happen to them. But at the same time, I can't come to feel sympathy for, just for the same reason that, like, other people, like, can't feel sympathy for, like, certain individuals that I won't name. I'm happy about it. Yeah, that was wrong. I'm not happy about it. I'm clearly not happy about it. I just don't give a fuck. Like, I'm happy about it. What do you think of an example of a trans dual feet is? There's a lot of trans dual beings in Buddhism that, like, basically transcend the concept of yin yang. And yin yang in itself represents dualism, and those, like, the gods, like, kind of transcend and manipulated in that. Charlie Kirk live looking real shaky right now. Listen, man, what I was arguing is that people shouldn't be joking about it. All right, not that they
That's
had to have
true. That's
sympathy
true.
for it.
Yeah.
Not that they didn't.
Yeah.
That they were required to have sympathy. Easy dub for Noodles. Thank you.
Also, for the trans dual thing, like, if it's just above, like, two opposing concepts, it's not, like, impressive, like, off rip. You have to kind of, like, you kind of have to, like, justify the actual impressiveness of both of those concepts and what they govern in reality.
Or just all of duality itself, like all duals.
Yeah, well, like, yeah, that has to be, like, a distinction in the context.
Yeah.
Like, if it's something above, like, all opposing concepts, then yeah, like, it could say, like, you could make a statement for it to be.
That's dimensions and undimensions, right? Like, that's all things that, like, would garner you to be, like, outerversal or whatever, you know?
Oh crap!
Anything trans duality, like, contingents, like, or anything with that in mind is contingent off of the context. It's super dependent on that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really read that and, like, read into it. Usually, I don't even care about the trans dual stuff, just because it's, like, it's so rare.
Here's what it says on Google. Transduality describes a state of existence that goes beyond binary oppositions or dualities, such as life and death or space and non-space. It's not merely a lack of these distinctions, which is non-duality, but a qualitative transcendence that renders the entity immune to the influence related to those specific dualities. Transduality can be specific certain dualities, apply to multiple systems, or even exist beyond all conceptual dualities and systems. So, like, if you're trans dual, that could just be, I'm above eating and not eating, right? Like, I ain't gotta eat shit, like, that doesn't make me outerversal. But if I'm above the duality that, space and non-space, all of a sudden, that's kind of impressive,
Yeah, exactly. It means nothing within reality can, like, for one, interact with you at all or hold you back.
Yeah. All right, boys. I think I'm done for now. I'm gonna hop off here. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream and everything, but I ain't got nothing else to say, and I got a headache. So, do any of these TikTok debate people actually have any debate experience?
That dude sounded like he's debated before, but it sounds like he's debating in the wrong spheres.
Yeah.
I was trying to understand causality to scale One Punch Man. I think the causality it's referring to is space and time there. Or like, you know, like it's beyond, it's like completely outside of the multiverse. It's outside of time, things like that. Like that's just, being beyond time itself would make you like acausal in a way. Because you're no longer bound by causal relationships. So like, time is a causal relationship. If I fuck Kosu in the butt and he regurgitates my semen,
On stream?
that was, sorry.
On stream is crazy.
That would be a cause
Holy
and
crap.
effect.
That's going to be an insane clip.
When is your next round? I don't know. I don't know if I'm even necessarily won. Like, I think I've won, but I guess we'll find out.
You
Find out next time if I
100%
get
won.
robbed, I guess.
It's going to be the blob all over again.
It's going to be the blob all over again. No, not the blob, bro.
He got robbed in that one so bad.
Dang, you just got here and it's over, Sag. Well, you can at least watch the stream back, brother.
Just trying to figure out how it applies to time. Well, think like causal events, right? Cause and effect, and think like the
Time is a
temporal
progression of
relationship.
events. That's what time is. Time is a progression of events.
Yeah.
So, like, in 1986, a motherfucker cheated in the NBA, and they had to make a rule that has now applied all the way to now, right? So, like, something like that. That shows that there's been a progression of events from an early period to a later period. So, that's all it is. So, like, if something happens back in, like, you ever heard of the butterfly effect? This is a good example. Like, if you squish a butterfly, that could cause a chain reaction of events, because you even though you did something as small as crushing a butterfly or killing a butterfly, you caused a cause and effect chain to start to happen that led to something very big and bad or important, right? So, that's the butterfly effect.
No, I am bad. The biggest robbery will be Alex versus Islam 1, followed by Noodles losing with the blob.
It's actually Francis versus Fury, but you know.
Them fucking saying you lost with the blob is actually an insane
Well, they said I
robbery.
won
though.
at first. They said I won
Yeah,
at
I
first,
know.
and
I
then
know.
they came back and switched it. So this kind of shit has happened to me before in another money tournament, by the way, in a separate horror tournament. Alex
as soon as they were like, "You want to go to another,"
I low-key do think Alex won first fight.
I was joking, but it's still a very close fight.
Yeah, it's very close. I do think Alex won though. Know any God of War scaling? Yeah, I do. I'm making a Kratos video, brother.
A 10th video you're making? Man, you got a lot of videos in the pipeline.
Well, I got two videos in particular that I want to come out next. One's going to be a Doom guy video. One's going to be a Kratos video. That Tachi video is still in the wings too. Don't worry. But the Doom guy video, then Kratos video, then we're going to do Doom guy versus Kratos as the third video. That was my plan. All right, I'm out of here for now, boys. I appreciate y'all for watching, though. I hope y'all have a good day. Goodbye.